What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. You can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. Messed up and out of touch, let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm filling up my e-cig real quick. Man. So it's been a kind of a leisurely day, actually. I've been paying attention to the news all day, but at the same time, I did a little bit of reading earlier this morning, and then got in some VTOL VR a little bit ago. Got my face blown off several times. It was a hoot. I I went into a multiplayer server, and it's a deal to where all the actual humans are playing the computer. Yeah, and it was wiping us out pretty good. So it was a lot of fun. Other than that, like I say, been watching the news. I'm going to check again real quick, but War News 24/7, yep, it's still down. 502 bad gateway. So I have no idea what's going on with that. However, as a result of that, all the news links that I have for you are from RT because I can't bring up the War News 24/7 website. So there's still plenty though. Wow. Like I said, I've been paying attention to it. Things are really getting stupid. And I'm speaking especially between Israel and Iran. It really does appear like something's about to kick off there. And as well with, well, I don't necessarily want to say NATO and Russia, but certainly some NATO members, it appears, is going to be going head to head. I mean, I can't explain any other reason they would be doing the things that they're doing and putting the things in place that they are. Things could get really stupid quick. As you know, last night, I think it was right before the show ended, I mentioned something about the earthquake in Taiwan. That was a pretty serious quake. I don't know what all impact it's going to have yet. I don't think really anybody does yet. However, that's definitely going to cause a problem in some supply chains. Among all of this nonsensory going on, it looks like the United States is going to start exporting liquid natural gas again to Ukraine. So that's in the news tonight. I'm at a loss. I am really, truly at a loss. And it really looks like it's not going to take much for all this kindling to go up, so to speak. In kind of a rare moment, Israel has apologized for hitting the aid convoy. That's kind of a rare thing. Of course, they didn't apologize for anything else at this point of what they've been doing. I don't know. It's so messed up when you step back and you take a look at everything that's going on. The propaganda that is going on is just mind-blowing. And that's some of what I want to discuss. Okay, so I can't remember who it was I was watching earlier. I think it might have been Luke of We Are Change. Could have been somebody else too. I don't remember for sure. But they were talking about how our media, the U.S. media, has really been talking up how Ukraine's winning this war and Ukraine's ahead and all this stuff. And I'm trying to figure out where. Of course, we've been watching it ever since it started. And Ukraine really has never had an upper hand in this. They've been getting beat around pretty hard. And then as the war has continued, especially as of late, it seems like Putin is really ramping up his attacks, his methods, the weapons he's using. And he's not being shy at all about taking out Western equipment. What has really got me perplexed, I guess, is this deal over this attack. Howdy, Kevin. And howdy, Jeffrey, if you're still here. One thing I really don't get is how the U.S. media thinks it's going to get away with its propaganda, especially on this level. And I'm trying to figure out what it is they're actually trying to accomplish. I mean, they've discredited themselves a long time ago. But what they're doing now, it makes no sense. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on into the news, and we'll just get the news done. Kind of worn out. That was an exciting fight, I'm not going to lie. Jen told me, she's like, it's 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh. Because I just kept dying and flying. I mean, it was fun. And I got a stern warning that I accidentally shot the host down. I didn't mean to. I didn't aim at him. I still don't know how that happened, but yeah, it happened. So anyway, oops. That would be the wrong window. That would be the right one. U.S. named Moscow site of terrorist massacre in warning to Russia, says Washington Post. Now, this is the propaganda part that I was talking about. Because the United States has come out multiple times and said that they had given Russia a warning. And multiple times Russia had said, no, they haven't. So it's like they even upped the ante of the propaganda here. So that's what it said. It says the U.S. alerted Russia that the Crocus City Concert Hall could be the target of a terrorist attack 2 weeks before gunmen killed more than 140 people at the venue just outside Moscow, the Washington Post reported on Tuesday. Unnamed U.S. officials interviewed by the paper claimed that Russian authorities had been issued with a notice with a high degree of specific... Why did they have to put that word of all words? Hell with it. You read it. Specificity. And yeah. Okay. I don't know why. I mean, I can say words like aluminum. I can say chrysanthemum. I can say all kinds of words. But you throw specificity, yeah, sure. I can't do that one. One day before the U.S. Embassy public warning on March 7. At the time, the U.S. mission advised Americans in the Russian capital to avoid large events in the next 48 hours, citing reports that extremists have imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow to include concerts. The White House has also claimed that it shared information about a potential attack with Russian authorities. The head of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Narishkin, has confirmed this, but noted that the information was too general and did not allow us to fully identify those who participated in this terrible crime. And that's as far as, like, they said that they got, was saying, oh, yeah, something could happen. The New York Times reported last week that while the U.S. had shared data on a terror threat, the adversarial relationship between the two countries, which is largely due to the Ukraine crisis, prevented full disclosure. How, I don't know. U.S. officials withheld some information out of fear Russian authorities might learn their intelligence sources or methods, the newspaper added. You mean like helping them out with it? The Washington Post has also claimed that the U.S. provided Moscow with information about plans by Islamic State terrorists to stage an attack on a synagogue in Moscow on March 7. Russia's Federal Security Service announced it had prevented an attack on a Jewish religious site, saying the terrorist had been killed in a gunfight while resisting arrest. The attack on Crocus City Hall occurred on March 22nd when, this goes into the history of it. You already know what happened. It says Russian officials have argued that Ukrainian intelligence services may have masterminded the plot, although Kiev has vehemently denied any involvement. The U.S. and its allies have insisted that the attack was orchestrated by IS, Moscow has voiced suspicion over Western attempts to absolve Ukraine of any responsibility before the investigation is complete. You know, it's much like and I'm not saying anything when I say this, but it reminds me much of the bridge incident in Baltimore. I mean, they didn't even give it 2 seconds and they were saying, oh, there's nothing suspicious here. Well, that's interesting. How come there's all the, TFRs, temporary flight restrictions and stuff like that around Baltimore at this time? Because there's a lot. And there's a lot of military activity, and I'm talking about aircraft over in the Baltimore area. So I'm a little bit perplexed as to why. If there's nothing to see there, there should be nothing to see there. So let me have a sip of coffee. So Russia responded. It says Moscow responds to claims U.S. warned it about possible terrorist target. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has rejected the Washington Post claim that the U.S. had alerted Russia about an imminent terrorist attack on Crocus City Concert Hall 2 weeks before the tragedy, dismissing it as completely false. On March 22nd, a group of armed men stormed the venue, killing at least 144 people, including 6 children, and injuring over 500 others. The terrorist attack was the deadliest on Russian soil since the early 2000s. On Tuesday, citing unnamed U.S. officials, the paper reported that Russian authorities had received an alert with a high degree of specificity. Yeah, they had to do it to me again. That the popular venue could be targeted by terrorists. According to the news outlet, the notice came 1 day before March 7 warning from the U.S. Embassy in Moscow for U.S. citizens to stay away from public gatherings, including concerts, for the following 48 hours because of the heightened threat. Now, there was a warning that was just given out, I think to Israel. A very similar warning. In regards to Iran, of course. Zakharova dismissed the report during a press briefing on Wednesday, noting that Moscow has grown accustomed to American misinformation as well as Western media's repeated attempts to retract their own assertions. I would really like to receive factual material on this topic from the American side. That is, to whom and when did they give this information, she added. In the aftermath of the Crocus City Hall massacre, the White House said that the U.S. had shared data with Moscow about a potential terrorist attack. The head of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Narishkin, has confirmed... Oh, well, this is just the same statement the other one was saying. Let's see. Yeah, the rest of it's stuff I already covered. I just wanted to make sure before I omitted it. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same old story. I really don't think that we were very specific with any kind of a warning. And I do think that we knew a whole lot more about what was going on before it happened. I mean, it's kind of a given. Especially when you understand who FBI sis or USIS is. Let's see. Or CIA sis, it's pretty much all of the above. Ukrainian military leaders know they can't win on the battlefield, says The Guardian. And again, if you listen to the U.S. media, they will tell you all about how Ukraine is winning. Says here Ukraine has no other option but to launch attacks inside Russia, including on its oil infrastructure, there's no S there, because its army faces continued setbacks on the battlefield. The Guardian has reported, citing the leadership of the country's military intelligence service, the GUR. Officials who allegedly spoke to the British newspaper were candid about Kiev's desperate military situation. GUR Brigadier General Dmitry Timkov said his country was like a patient on life support. We are attached to a drip we have enough drugs to stay alive, but if the West wants us to win, we need the full treatment, he admitted, referring to the dwindling quantities of military aid coming from Kiev's Western backers. Major General Vadim Skibitsky, the deputy head of GUR, admitted that Ukrainian victory, widely promised by Kiev, is impossible at the moment. Facing multiple setbacks, the agency had no choice but to launch strikes deep inside Russia. He described this as a NATO standard procedure known as Center of Gravity, or COG. The concept was first developed by Karl von Clausewitz, the famous Prussian general and military theorist, and essentially refers to targets that have the most value for the enemy, physically or morally. GUR officials that spoke to The Guardian claimed credit for a recent string of Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian oil infrastructure. This contradicts public statements by the head of the SBU, the Ukrainian Civilian Security Agency, Vasily Malyuk, who said it was his agents who were responsible for the operations. Both branches have been overhauled in the years since 2014 armed coup in Kiev, with the CIA's help, according to Western media reports. Both were allegedly involved in targeted assassinations of people deemed enemies of Ukraine since before the conflict with Russia began in 2022. It's really clear that they are not doing well. Zelensky has changed the conscription age from 27 down to 25. They're not doing well. The one thing that I've been pointing out ever since it started is at any time Putin could attack Zelensky directly. At any time. He's definitely got the military equipment to do it. But he hasn't. And I do question that a lot because, especially at this point, how come you're not going after the head of the snake? What could be more demoralizing than taking out the leader of a country you're at war with? I know they've got the intelligence to do it. I know they've got the capability to do it. I don't know why they haven't. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to lead, but I do think that Ukraine is going to manage to get more strikes in on Russian soil. And I do think that they're probably going to make a few count. I don't think they're doing it alone, but I think it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's not going to be good. Kevin, you mentioned the Scotland and Poland creating new hate speech garbage. Are you talking about the deal to where I know there's one country now that if you say anything that offends somebody else, you can definitely be criminally charged just for saying something that offends somebody else. It's absolutely crazy. I see that there. I wonder why it's weird. It's showing up over here, but it's not showing up on the normal chat screen, so that's weird. Let's see. Let me have a sip of coffee. We got like 4 articles left. This here is what blows my mind. So many people right here in the United States have had their energy bills double and in some cases worse. And like I said, before that even happened, when they first mentioned about exporting LNG, I said then that it was the American people that was going to pay for that. Looks like they're getting ready to pay even more. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I would never, ever in a million years think I'd ever see the day that people with electric heat actually had an advantage. That's, to me, nonsensical when you compare it to natural gas. That just doesn't make any sense at all. I want plastics. says Washington eyes resuming LNG exports to facilitate Ukraine aid package, says Reuters. Says U.S. officials are in talks about unfreezing approvals of new liquefied natural gas exports in order to get a Ukraine aid package passed in Congress, Reuters reported on Monday, citing sources close to the discussions. President Biden ordered a temporary pause on LNG exports from new projects in the country on January 26, citing their potential contribution to climate change. The move was welcomed by climate activists, but it has been opposed by many large producers who say that LNG plays a vital role in the energy transition. That reminds me about what's going on here to an extent. We've got something going on with our power here in our town, and I still haven't gotten to the bottom of anything. Still haven't gotten a chance to really talk to anybody that is really following it closely and understands it. But the more and more that I look, the more and more I see this about climate change nonsense and not anything to do with the actual interest of the town, the more that I see it, the people opposed are intentionally or unintentionally, either way, going to wind up costing the people of this town a fortune when it comes to their energy cost. All on this rhetoric that we need to find a better way. I am all for finding a better way to provide energy. I'm all for it. That's why I question all these bans they're wanting to put on natural gas. That makes no sense to me. Natural gas is the cleanest, cheapest way for people to heat their homes. There's no two ways about it. It does not put out tons of CO2. It does not put out tons of pollution. It's actually really clean, especially in comparison to the other options. The part that I really don't understand is where in the hell do they think that energy is going to come from? Because the solar system idea, hey, I'm all for this stuff. I love alternative energy. But I also love common sense. And the infrastructure is not there. And even the capability is not there. Even if we had more infrastructure, the capability just is not there. Until we get the capability, we can't go cutting off our nose to spite our face. And that's exactly what these folks are doing. I don't get it. I don't get it. Between the presidential administration, the U.S. news media, and a portion of the American people, they're wanting to do everything they can to absolutely drive a nail in the coffin of this nation. And it makes no sense. And there is no talking to any of them. They don't understand it. They don't get it. I don't know. It blows my mind. I mean, I want us to see us start to use more renewable energy resources and stuff myself. I am all for that. But we aren't ready. Yeah, Dad gave us everything we need. We're not ready for that stuff. And if we try to throw people into it, all it's going to do is destroy our nation every way. Our economy is going down the toilet. People are not making more money. People are not doing better off. Actually, homeless rates are through the roof, especially the homeless families. Absolutely through the roof. How is it going to help by us making their utility costs go even higher? It makes no sense. Makes no sense. A lot of this stuff that's happening is orchestrated, especially when it comes to a lot of the housing issues. The cost of housing, I'm sure folks know it's through the roof as well. But the problem there is all these huge property management companies that are buying up large swaths of property in towns and then raising the price. The sad thing is, if you watch the media and you pay attention to the media, they have the people going after Joe Blow landlord, the little guys that aren't doing this. It is absolutely mind-blowing. When we got a new rule, if you will, here, I was very concerned about it, and I still am, because this is how tyranny starts. We got a new rule some years back that in order to rent out a property, that property has to have an inspection. Now, if I trusted government, that would be all okay. That would be fine. But I don't. And for good reason I don't. All it's going to take is a matter of time of the wrong person in the wrong place, and good people will be ran out of the property management business so that their buddies can keep in the business. You know, the ones that's already got a ton of money and they don't need any more. Now, I can't say that that's necessarily started here yet, but I guarantee it's around the corner. I can guarantee it's around the corner. And it may have started here. I don't have my finger on the pulse of the town. But at the same time, what I can tell you is that costs have absolutely went up when it comes to, the cost for a renter, because the renter's the ones that's going to wind up paying for those inspection fees. Right, Friday. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Yep. It's the prospective tenants or the tenants that's going to pay those extra costs. I'm all for making sure that landlords keep up on their property, make sure that it's truly livable conditions, because we have had slumlords here, without a doubt. But there's other ways to deal with that. There truly are. We had one here that was horrid. Absolutely horrid. And they would put a notice of condemnation on his property. And he'd go and rip the sign off himself and rent it right back out. As far as I know, nothing ever happened to the guy. So the rules, the ordinances and stuff were already there. They just weren't being enforced. Now, with this new policy, they can essentially prevent anybody that they want. All they have to do is keep hitting them for stupid little bitty code violations over and over and over, and never give them that approval. And since it's all kind of linked up with the power company, guess what? There's no way that a tenant could get power on there until the city gives them their golden blessing. I'm not comfortable with the amount of control that gives a government. Not at all. We really got to take this power back. We really do. I don't think we'll be able to. I don't think we stand a chance, to be honest, and I'm just being honest. Never in the history of mankind have those in power willingly gave it up. There's always had to been a fight to get it back. And I don't think we're going to see that change anytime soon. I really don't. Let me have a couple of sips of coffee real quick. Let's see. Hang on here. My browser's a little slow today. Don't know why. Okay. Somebody requesting to get into our group. I at least try to make sure they're not a hooker. That's the way I always term it, just because it's funny. One of these guys again. Yeah. So many scammers. It's unreal. And there's a lot of them that love to do it. There's two things that I've been seeing so many scammers for. One of them is auto detailing. And you always know it because they want to know the name and the make and the model of the car and blah, blah, blah. You know it. It's obvious. And the other thing is, and there's kind of two different kinds. Either somebody will just have random items they're selling, right? Like a patio table set and this or that. Or the other one will give you some type of a sad story about how their child died and they bought them a brand new PS5 and their child never got a chance to play it. And so now they're just trying to sell it. And, you know, it's mind-blowing to me. It really, really, truly is. And somebody that makes a claim like that, man, I hope there's a special place in hell for them. I really hope there's a special place in hell for them. Because that is not cool to do. Not in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, get off my soapbox on that topic. Let me have another sip of coffee. Oh, yeah, the Ponzi scheme of Social Security. Yeah, well, insurance, even health insurance is no different, dude. That's the thing that pisses me off so bad. I had paid into health insurance for quite a few years. Never used it because I don't like going to the doctors and such. Never used it. Now I sit here, I don't have any teeth, no way to get any teeth, no way to have anything done with the mess that's in my mouth. And all that money I paid, thousands of dollars, gone. Just gone. And if that's not one hell of a racket, I don't know what is. I don't know why. I have no idea why that insurance coverage, that policy, can't be set up. I mean, they want your Social Security number for everything. Why couldn't they have set those insurance policies up to follow you via your Social Security number, right? So you keep your insurance package regardless if you're working at that particular company more or not, or wherever you're working, you should still be eligible for everything that you were promised while you were working for that company. That shouldn't lapse just because you're working somewhere else. But it's crazy. Yeah, it's hell, Kevin. It is hell. I've got like 1.5 teeth in my head. It sucks. It really, truly sucks. And nothing I can do. Nothing. We've got the most screwed up country. And I'm a fan of capitalism. I'm a big fan of capitalism. But I'm not a fan of crony capitalism. And that's exactly what's going on. All across the boards. Nothing but crony capitalism. Let's see. I'm thinking this is crap. Yep. Definitely crap. Our Netflix membership has expired. Oh, yeah? Since when does Netflix email me from executive KRYJBVRWD at darktoffee.com? I'm pretty sure that Netflix has got their own email servers. I can't be sure though. Oh man. Anyway, I was doing this, I think. Or going off on my typical tangents. Iran and Russia close to a new treaty, says Moscow. Moscow and Tehran are working on the final version of a comprehensive new treaty, which they are close to signing, according to the director of Russian Foreign Ministry's Second Asia Department, Zamir Kabulov. Speaking to the media on Monday, the official gave no explicit timeline for when the agreement would be ready for signing, but noted that the project had already been at a high level of readiness at the start of the year, but has since been delayed for an uncertain period due to some revisions by the Iranian side. The bilateral treaty is being prepared on the orders of Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, or Raisi, I don't know, who agreed to develop it in January 2022 in order to achieve a long-term strategic partnership. Meanwhile, cooperation between Moscow and Tehran has continued to grow in other fields in recent years as both sides have actively supported each other on the international stage. Following this week's Israeli attack on the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus, Russia called for an emergency UN Security Council meeting. Russia's foreign ministry condemned the airstrike, which left several Iranian diplomats and officers dead, including 2 generals, as completely unacceptable, and has urged Israel to abandon all provocative military actions in Syria and other neighboring countries, warning of potentially dire consequences for the region. The head of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Narishkin, has described the attack as an act of terrorism, condemning it as an ugly and criminal step by Israel. Tehran, in turn, has harshly condemned last month's Crocus City Hall terrorist attack near Moscow, which led to the... Well, that just goes into history. You're going to see them continue to work out stuff. They've been involved in military drills and everything else, including China. I do not like how these sides are stacking up. I really do not. UK facing growing pressure over arms sales to Israel. It says here the UK is facing renewed calls to stop exporting arms to Israel following the deadly bombing by the country's military of humanitarian convoy in Gaza, media outlets are reporting. On Monday, seven World Central Kitchen aid workers, mostly foreigners and including 3 British nationals, were killed by Israeli airstrikes that were purportedly targeting a Hamas militant. The incident has sparked international condemnation. Well, yeah, because it wasn't just like one place that was attacked. It was like 3 places that were attacked, and none of them were militants. Peter Ricketts, a former national security advisor to then Prime Minister, now Foreign Secretary David Cameron, stated on Wednesday in comments on the incident that Britain had now reached that point. He urged the UK to send a signal to Israel that it has not been taking its obligations under international law seriously enough. Sometimes in conflict you get a moment where there is such a global outrage that it crystallizes a sense that things can't go on like this. I hope that this awful incident will serve that purpose, Ricketts told the BBC. Britain's main opposition parties demanded on Wednesday that the Conservative government publish legal advice it has received on whether Israel has broken international humanitarian law during the war in Gaza. David Lammy, Foreign Affairs spokesman for the opposition Labour Party, said there are very serious accusations that Israel has breached international law. He called on the government to publish the legal advice now, claiming that if it says there is a clear risk that UK arms might be used in a serious breach of international humanitarian law, it's time to suspend the sale of those arms. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak did not commit to publishing the legal advice, but said that London followed a strict set of rules, regulations, and procedures over licensing arms exports. UK ministers say defense sales to Israel were worth about £42 million, or $53 million in 2022, according to the Campaign Against Arms Trade, a group lobbying for an end to sales of weapons. The UK has approved at least £474 million, or $560 million, in exports to Israel since 2015. So we'll see. I know there's calls around the board, really, to do something about what's going on. It's not just that attack. It's gotten really ignorant over there. It really has. So this is the last article I have. And to me, it speaks volumes. Let me check real quick the War News site. Yeah, still down. Still down. That's kind of concerning, actually. I would imagine there are plenty of individuals that do not want that website active. There is so much good information on that site, so much news on that site that I can't find anywhere else. It's incredible what's on there. A planned Israeli attack threatens entire Arab world, says Arab League. An Israeli attack on the Palestinian city of Rafah, located in Gaza on the Egyptian border, would be considered an attack on pan-Arab national security, the Council of the Arab League has announced, according to reports. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly vowed to invade the refugee-packed city despite international condemnation. The decision came during an extraordinary meeting of the 22-Nation Council in Cairo on Wednesday, Al Arabiya reported. The Council also declared that invading Rafah will lead to the collapse of chances for peace and the expansion of the conflict, the Saudi broadcaster paraphrased. The meeting was called by Palestine to address Israel's genocide and policies of starvation and displacement, as well as its refusal to abide by a UN Security Council resolution demanding that it halt military operations in Gaza during the month of Ramadan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced on Sunday that he had approved an operational plan to invade Rafah, claiming that there is no victory without entering Rafah and there is no victory without eliminating the Hamas battalions there. Netanyahu has promised since February to send troops into Rafah, a densely packed city located in southern Gaza, with much of the rest of the enclave destroyed by Israeli bombing raids and ground maneuvers. Rafah is currently home to an estimated 1.5 million displaced people, more than a half of the pre-conflict population of the enclave. Gaza is destroyed. Well, Palestine, I should say, is destroyed. I mean, it is destroyed from one end to another. It is mind-blowing to me that more of the international community does not see what's going on. I said it from the beginning. I knew because I could tell by the attitude that was being taken. This was an extermination. This was to completely push Palestinians off the land so that Israel can claim it all. I said that from the beginning, and they have been doing it ever since. It's hard to discuss this without really pissing people off, which I don't care about that. But, man, I just wish people would open their eyes, and not just to this, not at all. But I mean, read the Bible. Read the Bible. says everything you need to know right in there. It really, truly does. And in the end, I always have to ask this question. In the end, where's Israel? Gone? Why? God destroys them? Huh. Why? Interesting. As such, Netanyahu has been heavily criticized for his planned invasion. The UN has warned that an assault on Rafah could lead to a slaughter of civilians, while the U.S. has refused to back the operation without seeing an Israeli plan to move civilians out of harm's way. As of Monday, American officials were still waiting to see such a plan, CNN reported. Last month, U.S. President Joe Biden warned Netanyahu that Israel would be crossing a red line if it invaded Rafah. Netanyahu dismissed Biden's warning, telling German media, "I have a red line. You know what the red line is? That October 7 doesn't happen again." 1,100 people. And I'm not downplaying that. But when you add to it that it's already been proven that many of those 1,100 people were actually killed by the IDF because of the fog of war, it makes things a little more clear. I'm not a fan of war from anyone, towards anyone. I'm not a fan of Hamas. I'm not a fan of what Hamas did on October 7. But I absolutely cannot be a fan of genocide. And I'm sorry, but what happened from Hitler does not excuse them to do it to somebody else. I do think you're going to see things get stupid in the Middle East because so many people have had enough. Even Trump has came out and condemned what Netanyahu's doing. I mean, that should speak volumes. It should really speak volumes. I noticed that that's not mentioned in here. I noticed that. And I don't know that Netanyahu's even responded to what Trump had to say. He may have, I don't know. But I haven't seen it if he did. Much of this nation, and the rest of the world for that matter, has totally ignored that. I wonder why. Oh, that's right. Doesn't fit their narrative. Yep, Kyle, you hit the nail on the head. They need the third temple built. You hit the nail on the head. It is absolutely nuts what is going on. Absolutely nuts. All right, let me have a couple sips of coffee. We'll read through the headlines and we'll boogie. Tomorrow I have to play a little bit more VTOL VR. That was fun. I never really messed with the multiplayer servers before because I don't want to hold people back, and I sucked. I still suck. But at least I understand the weapon systems a little bit better. And so I'm comfortable now going in there. I mean, I actually did take some stuff out when I was in there earlier. I didn't just get killed. I did do some killing. But I can't dodge missiles worth a damn yet. If you shoot a missile at me, it's probably going to hit me. Yep. In fact, sorry guys, I should have been putting those up. Like Kyle said, they need that third temple built. Like Carlin said, he said, you're not part of the club. Damn Skippy, I'm not part of the club. I'll never be part of the club. Oh, man. I have a few vapes, and I'll do these headlines. I will say, for my nighttime pod, I have went to the pink starburst because I had some of that by I think Candy King makes that. I think it's Candy King. And anyway, oh, that's delicious. It tastes way better than the pink starburst that I make for the bigger one. The stuff I make tastes good, but it doesn't taste authentic for sure. Still really good. Putting my cap on the one. Oh, yeah. Here's the bottle. Yeah, Candy King. Candy King on salt, technically. I need to try to get some more of that. That's good stuff. I really want to get some more of these stupid little pods, because these things are pretty killer. Still upset I paid $70 for that piece of crap that I got. But that's how it goes. Camels for you. That used to be my cigarette of choice. I used to love Camels. And then I really liked the oh gosh, they had a variant of Camels and I can't remember what it was called. Oh my goodness, was it good though. Was it Turkish something, or is that on all the... I think it was Turkish something, or I can't remember. Camel Red? Maybe they were called Camel Reds. Yes. Yes, Camel Reds. Yep. I love those. Those are awesome. And I also like the Crush, the Camel Crush. Those were good too. Yep. Yeah, Turkish Gold. Was that a kind of camel? Yeah. Yep. Certainly. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yep. Yeah, I love those. $6.39 for a pack, but it's unable to deliver to my address. But man, $6.39 for a pack. I am glad I don't smoke anymore. Holy hell. That's crazy. The last I bought cigarettes, now this is generics, I wasn't smoking name brands for sure. I think you could get a pack for just under $3 for generics, if I'm not mistaken. And I wound up going to rolling my own. $11 for a pack? Holy hell. Wow. Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. I had wound up, because cigarettes got so expensive, I stopped buying cigarettes and I started buying the filter tubes, and it was actually pipe tobacco. So I will absolutely, Kevin, absolutely, brother, I will certainly pray for you to give it up. And I will tell you that smoking or vaping will help. There's no way. Wow, 17 in New York. Man, that's insane. You're welcome. Like I say, vaping helps, man. I wouldn't have been able to do it without vaping. It's not that I don't partake in nicotine. I still get my nicotine. I just don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I can tell you that vaping works, and I can tell you that it's a world of difference. I mean, you'll notice the benefits, the benefits from no longer smoking pretty quick. The thing you'll really notice, because this still blows my mind, is how much your sense of smell and taste comes back. Somebody can literally be smoking a cigarette a block away, and if the wind's coming my direction, I know that somebody's smoking. I can smell it plain as day. It doesn't bother me. I actually still like the smell. I actually still like the taste. There's nothing about smoking a cigarette that I do not like. But if I didn't stop, it was going to kill me. I was smoking 3 packs a day of the filter tube roll-your-owns. And again, I was using pipe tobacco because it was so much cheaper. And man, yeah, you're going to have to pry my tea and coffee out of my cold dead hands, I'm afraid. That I'm not giving up. Caffeine and nicotine. If you take those 2 things away from me, I will die. I will, stroke out or have a heart attack or something. I guarantee it. Oh, man. Yeah, I gotta have that stuff. That's what keeps me together. I get too much blood in my nicotine system and my caffeine system, and things get real out of whack. All right, let's do some headlines. Zelensky to mobilize younger men. I wonder what he means by that. Oh, not like in a Michael Jackson kind of way. Okay. U.S. named Moscow site of terrorist massacre. Oh, I covered that earlier. Child fatalities in Moscow terrorist attack updated. Protests turn into riot outside Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem. Washington eyes resuming LNG Oh, I covered that. Sorry. Moscow asked Western countries to investigate terrorist attacks on Russia. Russian army has recruited 100,000 so far this year, says Ministry of Defense. Let's see. Polish political elite swept by fake diploma scandal. Brother, I feel that way about all of the amendments. No doubt about that. World's oldest man dies at 114. I don't know if I'll make it to half that. Death of empires, the collapse of the U.S., and what will follow is inevitable. It was actually a pretty decent write-up. NATO seeking to insulate Kiev from Trump pressure, says media, wherever you're from. U.S. shielding itself by whitewashing Kiev over terror attack, says Moscow. And I'm offended by that. I'm offended. I mean, couldn't you say Caucasian washing or, whitewashing? Moscow responds to claims U.S. warned it about possible... Oh, duh. I read that one. That's what I titled the show after. Israel apologizes for aid convoy deaths. I mentioned that. Ukraine can't win on the battlefield, military intelligence admits. Duh, I read that one too. Amazon hired 1,000 Indian workers to support flagging AI push, says media. Yeah, because apparently their system isn't working out so well. Who'd have thunk it? You take checkers away from... you no longer have checkouts and you have problems. Imagine that. Ukraine aid will bankrupt future U.S. generations, says Congressman. I think that's kind of the point. French supermarket giant suspected of major tax evasion in Russia, says RBK. Ukraine spreading anti-immigrant hate in Russia, says The Times. Ukrainians target Australian politician over Moscow trip. Zelensky vodka project fails. Ex-Ukrainian president reveals plans to run again. Another kind of explainer article there. And two more Moscow allies stop accepting Russian payment card. Ukraine aid must be a multi-year financial commitment for NATO. Finnish police reveal school shooter's motive. Apparently he was bullied, what they said. Foreign students from 8 countries injured in Ukrainian drone strike. Zelensky lying about Russian mobilization, says Kremlin. Iran and Russia close to a new treaty, says Moscow. Okay, now we have a bunch of more news articles. In Ukraine, via the Czech Republic, Parliament approved the sale of ammunition to the Greek army. Surprise in Japan and the West, North Korea launched a hypersonic missile with Russian know-how. Again, I think we spoke to that yesterday. It was a solid fuel rocket versus a liquid fuel rocket, which makes it more mobile. And apparently it was of the hypersonic variety. Dramatic political analysis, Ukraine is at great risk of its vanguard collapsing. Oh yeah? When did you come to that conclusion? Madness on Russian TV with Kharkiv, first ultimatum, then we demolish it here and now. Let's see, MiG-29 fires French AASM-250 hammer bomb against Russian forces. So they got hammered. Or you could say it was hammer time. Any way you want to put it. The first 1,500 French soldiers are leaving for Ukraine. Macron in the USA, NATO will not get involved if Russians beat us. If you understand all that, because I didn't. Dangerous precedent for NATO. Macron withdraws Article 5 because of Ukraine. Let's see, Putin says we will crush you like Napoleon. Yeah, Putin, actually it's in the headlines, so it's kind of funny. Russia less reliant on oil and gas exports, says Prime Minister. UK facing growing pressure over arms sales to Israel. Planned Israeli attack threatens entire Arab world. Actually, I covered that one. Ukrainian foreign minister pleads, why don't you give us Patriot? We need them urgently. CIA told Israel it will be attacked by Iran in 48 hours. Netanyahu criticized. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said that there was a threat. This is the one I thought was funny. Russia delivered a toy with soldiers to the French embassy. Well, let's see. Zakharova flashed and thundered about Armenia. They are selling their people to collect gifts from the USA and the EU. Captured Novam, whatever all that is, and enters Netalavo. Fierce fighting in the first houses of Chasov Yar. I probably pronounced all of that wrong. Palestine asked for UN membership. Moscow appeals to UN over foreign interference in elections. Good luck with that. Finland's military involvement deepens. Zelensky and Stubbs sign 10-year defense and security agreement. Stormy fire of Russian artillery against Ukrainian positions in Uglandar. Russian operation on the right bank of the Kherson, 50 Ukrainians dead. Major topic for Greece, Turkish UCAVs, AKINCIs launched CAKIR and UAV-122 cruise missiles. And I'm sure I got all those wrong. I want to see if their sites back up. Nope, not back up. Zelensky ignored interview requests, says Tucker Carlson. Are you surprised? I'm not. Sending soldiers to Ukraine will end badly, Russia tells France. And I would agree. Anyway, those are the headlines. I am going to boogie out of here and get some rest, and God willing, we'll be back tomorrow to cover more nonsense. Anyway, I hope you all have a good night. I appreciate you coming. Hope to see you tomorrow night. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.